What is up, everyone? I know this is probably not the voice you expected to hear on this break week, and currently it is March 25th at 12 in the morning that I am starting to record this whole entire Elbaf Arc Explained. I'm obviously not going to do it all tonight, but yes, it's been I think 5 months since I've uploaded a video, and honestly I'm sorry. As you all know, I'm in college. I've said it plenty of times throughout the video, you know, work be working and it be getting hard. So I had plenty of videos that I really had planned, and I was posting them in a community post to let y'all guys know, like, hey, I'm about to drop this video. But at the same time, I knew that work was stacking up with all the schoolwork and stuff, so I didn't want to feel rushed to put out a video and make the quality real bad. So I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna take this little break while I finish up all the hard work, and this semester has been relatively easy, so I said, why not ramp up some of the videos again? So to say sorry for being gone for so long, I decided to, you know, kind of schedule this video whenever we're going to have a break week. I'm pretty sure next week is not going to be a break week, so I'm assuming the week after next week is when this video will be getting uploaded, since it will be a break week. And I decided to have some content for you guys to eat on while it is a break week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm not going to make this intro too long, so you know the role. Let's get right to it. Following their escape from Egghead Island, the Straw Hat Pirates find themselves in the company of old friends and new allies. Surrounded by the towering giant warrior pirates, they feast and celebrate their partial victory in rescuing Vegapunk through Lilith. The atmosphere is jubilant as food and laughter flow freely. During the festivities, Dory and Brogy revealed their reason for leaving their century-long duel. They needed to return to their homeland, Elbaph, to obtain new weapons worthy of continuing their honorable battle. Their presence signals the crew's approaching arrival at the fabled land of the giants. In a touching moment amid the celebration, Jewelry Bonnie and her father Kuma shared an amazing experience, seeing the horizon together. After Kuma's long imprisonment and the transformation into a weapon by the world government, this simple act represents a bittersweet reunion for father and daughter. Meanwhile, on Gartel Island, a tense confrontation unfolds. The red-haired pirates have captured Bartolomeo and his Bartol Club, who had burned Shanks' flag in his territory. Hongo, one of Shanks' officers, presents Bartolomeo with a seemingly impossible choice: deliver a deadly poison to Luffy within the next month or face the consequences. Unwillingly to betray his idol, Bartolomeo makes the ultimate sacrifice. He drinks the poison himself, accepting death rather than harming Luffy. This dramatic gesture reveals Shanks' true intention. The poison was fake, a test of loyalty. When questioned by his first mate Ben Beckman, Shanks smiles, expressing satisfaction at finding someone who cares so deeply for Luffy. However, the red-haired pirate's mercy has limits. Usopp reminds everyone that every action has a price to be paid, and with a single shot from his rifle, he sinks the going Luffy senpai, Bartolomeo's prized vessel, leaving the fate of its crew uncertain. In the shadows of these events, Blackbeard returns to his base on Hachinosu after defeating the Heart Pirates. Frustrated, he reprimands Avalo Pizarro for allowing both Kobe and Gecko Moria to escape their clutches. Blackbeard shares critical intelligence with his crew. The secret of the poneglyphs has become common knowledge, accelerating the race for the One Piece. With an enormous ambition, he declares they must prepare for a confrontation with formidable forces: the Four Emperors, the Marines, and the world government itself. Despite his initial anger, Teach's mood improves upon seeing his crew's high morale. He particularly praises Kuzan for capturing the legendary marine hero Monkey D. Garp, and celebrates their successful kidnapping of Charlotte Pudding, whose special abilities could prove crucial in their quest. Blackbeard then communicates with Lafitte, who has successfully infiltrated Umid Shipping, a key location where the Revolutionary Army is blocking food supplies destined for Marie Joie. Meanwhile, Catriona Devon and Van Augur return to Hachinosu with Caribou, holding valuable information about the ancient weapons. 2 days after the daring escape from Egghead Island, the giant warrior pirate ship continued its journey toward Elbaph. However, a troubled discovery sobered the celebratory mood. The Thousand Sunny and several Straw Hat Pirates had mysteriously vanished. The giants, alongside Robin, Frankie, Brooke, Jinbei, Jewelry Bonnie, and Lilith, found themselves alone with no sign of their missing companions. Meanwhile, Nami awoke with a splitting hangover inside an unfamiliar castle, dressed in clothes she had no memory of putting on. Disoriented but alert, she quickly reunited with Usopp. Panic set in as they fled from numerous giant animals roaming the castle halls until they were rescued by Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, who boasted of fighting and feasting on similar creatures throughout the structure. All 5 pirates found themselves wearing new attire resembling traditional Elbaph giant clothing, though none could recall how they ended up there or what had happened to the Sunny and their other crewmates. After escaping the castle, Usopp formulated a theory based on the giant-style clothing and the massive surroundings. They must have somehow reached Elbaph and been transformed into giants themselves. Their confusion deepened when they encountered a stranger riding an enormous grasshopper who informed them they were in the land of gods, where the colossal animals were actually deities. Despite the man's warnings about the sun god's temple and its ferocious guardians, Luffy's adventurous spirit was immediately sparked. Before the rest could stop him, he raced towards the forbidden temple. In his typical fashion, Luffy charged headlong into what appeared to be the sky itself, only for it to shatter like glass upon impact. As fragments fell around them, the crew realized they'd been deceived. The sky was actually an enormous one-sided mirror. Beyond it lay another room of gigantic proportions, where they discovered and rescued their missing crewmate, Chopper. Examining their surroundings with growing suspicion, the Straw Hats found massive sewing materials and building blocks matching the structures of the kingdom they'd been trapped in. The truth dawned on them. They weren't in Elbaph at all, but prisoners in a giant elaborate diorama, dressed up like dolls while unconscious. Their investigation was cut short as the giant guardian animals attacked, forcing them into battle. The commotion attracted the attention of the self-proclaimed sun god, who flew into a rage upon seeing the damage to his hobby room and beloved pets. As the creature pursued them back into the diorama, the Straw Hats managed to subdue Iscat, a massive feline that could transform into a lion, and used it as a transportation across a miniature landscape. With Nami's exceptional memory guiding them, having memorized the diorama's layout, they navigated towards the opposite wall seeking escape. The sun god, revealed to be Road of the new giant warrior pirates, pursued them relentlessly, briefly capturing them with a metal net before Zoro and Sanji broke them free. Despite their escape attempt, Road remained confident in his trap, revealing that the kingdom was originally designed as a prison for giants. His smug attitude faltered when his other captives, whom he called his live dolls, informed him of the extensive damage the Straw Hats had caused to his precious diorama. Road's true motivation became clear. He opposed his Captain Harwin's decision to join the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, refusing to accept Luffy as his superior. When his giant raven, Mugen, brought him to the Thousand Sunny with the slumbering Straw Hats from the sleeping mist zone, he saw an opportunity for revenge, planning to turn them into his personal servants as live dolls. As Road gloated over his scheme and the drama the pirates brought to his kingdom, Nami seized the moment. She commanded Zeus to strike the giant with a powerful lightning blast, while Luffy simultaneously shattered the wall with the Mini Gear 4 Gomu Gomu no Kon gun, creating an escape route from their prison cell. Out at sea, the remaining Straw Hats, Robin, Frankie, Brook, and Jinbei, along with Bonnie and Lilith, reluctantly declared their search for their missing companions complete. Despite being unable to locate Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Usopp, and Chopper, they maintained unwavering faith that their crewmates were alive. With the giant warrior pirate's blessing, they decided to continue their intended destination, hoping to reunite there. A newspaper delivery brought troubling developments about the aftermath of Egghead. Dory and Brogy's bounties had skyrocketed to 1.8 billion berries each, though Robin noted this was partly due to the century of inflation. More concerning was that Luffy had been framed for Vegapunk's murder, while the giant captains were falsely accused of attacking Egghead Island. Robin's sharp eye caught something unusual. The newspaper photo of Luffy in Gear 5 featured a conspicuously prominent X mark on his arm. Before she could delve deeper into this mystery, the conversation shifted to Harwin and the internal crisis facing Elbaph. The giants revealed that Harwin had intended to meet them but was prevented by an emergency in Elbaph. The evil giant prince, Loki, dubbed the Accused Prince and Shame of Elbaph, had escaped his punishment crucifixion. In his rampage, he murdered his father, King Harold, and consumed his legendary devil fruit. This crisis had mobilized virtually every giant in Elbaph to stop and imprison him, as they feared his release would bring about the end of the world. As they sailed towards the giant homeland, Robin made a personal decision. Hoping to be more recognizable to her old friend Jaguar D. Saul, she asked Brook to cut her hair to resemble her pre-time skip style. Meanwhile, Luffy's group found themselves having escaped Rhodes' prison to a giant-sized castle perched atop a mountain, connected to the mainland by a massive suspension bridge. As they prepared to leave, two unfamiliar giants approached, Jerd and Goldberg of the new giant warrior pirates. The Straw Hats concealed themselves, eavesdropping as the giants discussed Rhodes' disgraceful behavior. Jerd's pet owl Piper had spotted Mugen carrying the Thousand Sunny to Rhodes, and they were determined to confront him about bringing intruders to Elbaph. Once the giants passed, the pirates began crossing the bridge themselves. Halfway across, Luffy sensed a mysterious voice coming from the forest below, and, true to his nature, he decided to investigate alone while his crewmates continued ahead. The remaining Straw Hats soon realized they were being pursued by a lightning-burned giant, Rhodes himself, who in turn was being chased by Jerd and Goldberg carrying the Sunny. Though Zoro wanted to fight, the others opted to sprint for the bridge's end. Following the voice, Luffy descended into the forest where he discovered a blindfolded giant in chains. The prisoner demanded Luffy's identity, to which he proudly declared himself the future Pirate King. When Luffy asked who the giant was and where they were, the response was ominous. He was Loki, the self-proclaimed sun god, and they were in Elbaph. Excited to finally confirm they had reached the legendary giant homeland, Luffy began chattering excitedly until Loki silenced him and requested freedom. The prince explained he had been chained to the treasure tree Atom with sea stone restraints in Elbaph's lowest region, the underworld, for 6 years. In exchange for liberation, he offered to destroy any pirate crew of Luffy's choosing. To emphasize his threat, Loki's massive pets emerged from the forest alongside a group of humans who had survived after challenging Elbaph. When these creatures advanced on Luffy at Loki's command, both humans and giants were astonished as Luffy effortlessly tamed the beasts. The humans' mention of Shanks immediately captured Luffy's attention, but Loki made a critical error by mocking the Emperor as a coward. Luffy's rage exploded as he instantly transformed into Gear 4 and attacked. Though Loki managed to dodge and hastily retracted his insult, he refused to share more information without additional terms. After a private conversation, Luffy and Loki reached some sort of agreement sworn to secrecy. Returning to the bridge, Luffy encountered Gerd and Goldberg carrying the Thousand Sunny. They welcomed him warmly but grew concerned when he appeared hesitant to discuss his activities in the underworld. Misinterpreting his reluctance as trauma, they kindly withdrew their questions. They soon reunited with the rest of the Straw Hats, who had cleverly trapped Rhodes under a fallen tree in a forest in the Sunworld. Gerd and Goldberg promptly punished Rhodes with strikes from their weapons for his mistreatment of the pirates. Meanwhile, the giant warrior pirate ship finally reached Elbaph, sailing up a magnificent rainbow to directly access the Sunworld. On their journey upward, they encountered Howden and Stanson, who had been hunting what they called a moose to feed the Straw Hats. As they ascended the rainbow path, the giants explained Elbaph's unique structure to their human guests. The island was divided into 3 distinct tiers, centered around the massive treasure tree Atom, the underworld at the base, the Sunworld situated on the lower branches, and the heaven world atop the tree's canopy. They revealed the rainbows themselves were created using special cubes called painters, which allowed ships to sail between the different levels of the island. Both groups, the separated Straw Hats and their searching crewmates, arrived at the western village simultaneously. After their long journey and unexpected trials, the pirates finally stood together in awe at the breathtaking scale and beauty of Elbaph, the legendary land of giants they had longed to visit since their earliest adventures. A flashback reveals the devastating aftermath of the Ohara incident 22 years ago. Spandine's deliberate lies and the world government's vicious smear campaign against Robin forced her into a hellish existence, constantly fleeing persecution. The emotional toll was so severe that she contemplated suicide, with only Saul's encouraging words, "Nobody is born into this world completely alone," and her mother's final message keeping her will to live intact. In stark contrast to those dark days, The present finds the Straw Hats marveling at Elbaph's natural splendor. Lilith notes how the island's unique climate creates perfect conditions for clouds, rainbows, and even floating bubbles. Meanwhile, Road, now punished for his earlier transgressions against the crew, hangs crucified for his actions. After Haruden introduces his crew to Luffy and the others to host a feast, Robin makes a special request. She wishes to meet Saul first. Understanding the significance, the entire crew accompanies her to the Warrior Spring adjacent to the Owl Library, where Saul now serves as a history teacher. Upon arrival, they're informed that Saul has collapsed, but Robin simply smiles and approaches alone. Their reunion begins with Saul playfully recreating their first meeting by suddenly roaring at her, a gesture Robin fully expects. The two share a heartfelt conversation about Nico Alvia, Vegapunk's recent broadcast, and the truth behind the Ohara incident. Saul reveals how he survived, the intense heat from the Buster Call's bombardment, how it melted Kuzan's ice, allowing him to fall into the ocean and escape death. When Saul expresses anger over Robin's persecution, she stops him gently, saying she no longer wishes to hear negative things. Instead, she asks simply to be praised for surviving. This request triggers a flood of emotion as Saul embraces her, acknowledging her incredible resilience. The moment causes Robin to break down completely, releasing decades of suppressed emotion as she admits how desperately she missed him. Their mutual tears move the watching Straw Hats to tears as well, while Luffy observes with a warm, knowing smile. After their emotional reunion, Luffy personally thanks Saul for protecting Robin years ago. Saul responds that he's overjoyed to see Robin has found the friends he's always hoped she would, friends powerful enough to become one of the four Emperor's crews. The conversation shifts when Lilith introduces herself as Vegapunk, revealing her plan to build a new laboratory on Elbaph using a clone of the original Vegapunk brought from Egghead. Meanwhile, a giant named Anj introduces herself as a librarian at the Owl Library and offers to show some of the Straw Hats the Walrus School, an educational institution Saul founded 20 years ago. As the crew splits up, Saul takes Robin, Chopper, Bonnie, and Lilith to the Owl Library. The library proves to be an extraordinary sanctuary of knowledge. Every book within can be gigantified to suit the giant size, including countless volumes rescued after Ohara's destruction. The revelation brings Robin to tears. Saul explains this remarkable feature is possible thanks to the chief librarian, Biblo, who possesses the Iku Iku no Mi, a devil fruit that enables the gigantification of inorganic objects. At the Walrus School, the remaining Straw Hats discover a surprising cultural shift. The giant children are not being raised as fearsome warriors as tradition might suggest. Biology teacher Ripley explains that Elbaph's reputation as a warrior kingdom belongs to the past. Nearly 100 years ago, King Harold had envisioned transforming Elbaph into a trading partner with other nations rather than continuing their pillaging ways. Anj elaborates that Harold dreamed of reforming Elbaph completely, but his vision died when his son Loki murdered him, leaving the country without formal leadership. This revelation offers context for the current political instability in Elbaph. Meanwhile, in the underworld, the imprisoned Loki conducts a cryptic conversation with someone named Mosa via Denden Mushi. They discuss a tragic incident from Mosa's past, with Loki declaring he would have slaughtered everyone involved had he been present. When Mosa suggests Loki show some kindness, even in his violence, he angrily silences them, demanding they wait until his escape. At that same moment, while giants celebrate in the western village of the Sunworld, two hooded figures mysteriously materialize inside Arif's castle through magical circles. Back at the Walrus School, Luffy's playful nature leads him to ride a giant swing with Usopp and some giant children. His enthusiasm for swinging higher frightens the young giants, earning him a scolding from Nami. The moment is interrupted when a young giant named Colin challenges Luffy, swinging a sword that promptly breaks against Luffy's rubber body. Luffy counters with Gomu Gomu no Elephant Gun, which misses but knocks Colin off balance. Rather than escalating, Colin shares his unique heritage. He's the son of Ripley and a human father, a brave pirate who chose not to marry Ripley due to their vastly different aging processes. Later at the Owl Library, Jerd provides the Straw Hats with new outfits more suited to Elbaph. Luffy instructs everyone to meet at the village for the celebration, while Lilith and Bonnie opt to remain behind. At Ohara's castle, the mysterious hooded figures confront two giant guards, demanding Loki's location. While the giants refuse, one figure unleashes a barrage of projectiles that incapacitate a guard, forcefully repeating their demand. Meanwhile, in the western village, the Straw Hats arrive at a celebration honoring their assistance to various giant pirate crews and their defeat of Kaido and Big Mom. The festivities are joined by Ja Rule, reportedly the oldest giant alive, though Luffy notices a sword permanently piercing his helmet, a visual reminder of past violence. During the celebration, Road appears and apologizes for his actions, explaining his misguided dream of becoming the sun god and ruling the world. His statement triggers a theological debate among the giants about who the sun god truly is. Ja Rule explains that Elbaph's ancient religious text, the Harley, contains multiple interpretations due to translation difficulties. What is known for certain is that the world has been destroyed twice before, with the entity known as Nika playing a crucial but undefined role in these cataclysms. Ja Rule believes both Harold and Loki shaped their morals based on different interpretations of who Nika was. The giants reveal that since Loki's birth, Elbaph has experienced constant destruction and misfortune, with prophecies predicting he would kill Harold. Ja Rule himself was stabbed through the head when he and other giants attempted to stop Loki's rampage, and it took the intervention of Shanks 6 years ago to finally defeat and imprison the prince. This information reignites Luffy's determination to free Loki. With this goal in mind, Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and Road depart for Ohara's castle to find the key to Loki's chains. The two figures from Ohara's castle track down Loki in the underworld and reveal themselves as members of the God Knights. They offer Loki a position in the organization, but he quickly refuses, stating that joining will reduce him to the same level of scum as the world nobles. When one figure inquires about agents previously sent to Elbaph, Gunko, now revealed as one of the members of the God Knights, explains they lost contact after encountering a giant crow. To demonstrate her power and pressure Loki, Gunko uses her ability to wrap a binding strip around a giant wolf, offering to spare the creature if Loki accepts the proposal. When he refuses again, she kills the wolf, an act Loki uses to fuel his resolve to end the world. Luffy's group arrives at Ohara's castle in search of the keys to Loki's chains, immediately noting recent damage to the exterior. Inside, Road explains Loki's blood history, how he murdered his father and 100 warriors in a vicious battle with only Ja Rule surviving. They pause before a portrait of Harold, whom Rome describes as Elbaph's greatest king. Road explains that Harold had removed his own horns because they marked him as possessing ancient giant blood from a warring era. More surprisingly, Road reveals that Haruden is actually Loki's half-brother, raised apart from the royal family because his mother wasn't from Elbaph. Road admits feeling sympathy for Haruden and desires to help him achieve his dream of uniting all giants. Back in the underworld, Gunko continues torturing Loki to force his acceptance of their offer without success. Her associate intervenes, suggesting they contact Marie Joie for assistance. This figure is identified as Fergarland Shamrock, commander of the God Knights and son of Fergarland Garling. He declares with chilling conviction that Elbaph's powerful warriors will be brought under world government control no matter what. As they prepare to leave, Loki notes Shamrock's resemblance to Shanks. Shamrock confirms the connection. He is Shanks' older twin brother, revealing that Shanks once returned to Marie Joie, but ultimately abandoned his birthright to live in the lower world. When Loki responds with threats, Shamrock decides to eliminate him, summoning a beast called the Cerebrus from his saber. The creature's 3 heads, each armed with swords, brutally stab Loki as Shamrock and Gunko depart on a bird-like construct created by Gunko's powers. Shamrock announces their next move, to capture Elbaph's children, and instructs Gunko to call for additional assistance. Inside Ohara's castle, Luffy's group discovers 2 injured giant guards who encountered Shamrock and Gunko. The guards claim one of the intruders was Shanks, but Luffy adamantly refuses to believe this. The guard suggests it might have been someone resembling Shanks, prompting Luffy to reveal that in all their interactions, Shanks has never mentioned having a family. As they ponder this development, another figure approaches the castle from the outside. Meanwhile, Ripley takes Frankie on a tour of Elbaph's treasure tree Atom, where they discover an ancient mural carved during the Void Century depicting wars between different races. Simultaneously, at the Owl Library, Saul shows Robin and Chopper the Harley text, which explains Elbaph's myths and legends. Robin learns the Harley is divided into 3 chapters, each describing a different world or the historical period. Based on her reading, the first world ended in fire, death, and darkness. The second world was dominated by war, where those of both the Half Moon and Moon dreamed. The third world, representing the present and future, describes the sun god dancing, laughing, and guiding the world towards some undefined destiny. As Luffy's group proceeds through the Ohara's castle, they reach the throne room and discover a mysterious magic circle. Suddenly, they're attacked by a swinging axe wielded by a figure seated on the throne. The man introduces himself as Yasan, a human resident of Elbaph and former pirate who claims to have sensed powerful haki in the vicinity. Yasan reveals he is Ripley's partner and Colin's father. When Luffy states his intention to free Loki, Yasan warns him to be cautious, advice Luffy and Zoro promptly ignores. This makes Yasan smile, reminded of how Goldie Roger similarly disregarded his warnings in the past. He instructs Road to push the throne, revealing a hidden treasure room below containing the key to Loki's chains. Yasan observes that even thieves have avoided freeing Loki, then challenges Luffy to battle with the key as the prize. Back in the Western Village, Oimo shares a remarkable story with the Straw Hats about the Roger Pirates. He recounts how they once had a pirate whose strength rivaled both Roger and his right-hand man, Silver's Rayleigh. During an expedition to get Roger to a hospital, this pirate single-handedly defeated hundreds of enemies using only 2 axes, destroying every tree in the area, earning the epithet Mountain Eater. This legendary figure has been living in Elbaph for over 20 years under the alias Yasan, and his true identity is none other than Scopper Gaban, the left hand of the Pirate King. The action kicks off with Luffy confronting Gaban for a key. Despite Luffy's protests about fighting unnecessarily, Gaban taunts him into action. When Luffy attempts to grab the key, Gaban dodges effortlessly before surprisingly coating it with haki and striking Luffy with it. The battle intensifies when Gaban notices Luffy's straw hat and makes dismissive comments about Shanks, calling him a cheapskate for not truly giving Luffy the hat. This enrages Luffy, giving Gaban an opening to shove the key into Luffy's mouth and slam him into a wall. As Gaban unleashes his powerful Yaso Takeru axe attack, Zoro jumps in to defend Luffy, blocking the assault that partially destroys the castle. Luffy activates Gear 5th, and just as the real battle seems to begin, Gaban unexpectedly yields, revealing the key is now in their possession. As he departs, he invites them to visit him before leaving Elbaph, an offer they angrily refuse. Meanwhile, at the Walrus School, Gonko creates a magic circle that unexpectedly summons 2 God Knights instead of 1, Saint Somers and Saint Killingham. They explain Shamrock is being recalled back to Marie Joie since everything has been falling apart since the Reverie. When discussing the kidnapping of the children, Killingham mentions those without the mark cannot travel through the abyss and would need to be transported by ship. Shamrock ominously suggests they turn the kidnapping into a game using their abilities. As the Straw Hats explore Elbaph, Frankie learns about the treasure tree Atom from Ripley, who reveals the giants live on its enormous branches. Ripley explains how a branch once holding the village of Hagen was destroyed by lightning and fire, exposing Elbaph's main weaknesses. At the feast, Nami finds Usopp celebrating drunkenly, finally achieving his dream of visiting Elbaph. Usopp interacts with Ja Rule, while Sanji notices Jerd's absence. Road brings injured guards to Jerd for treatment, nervously trying to hide what really happened. Despite his concern about being viewed as an accomplice to Loki's escape, Jerd eventually attacks him and demands the whole truth. In the underworld, Luffy and Zoro discover the beaten Loki and his injured animal companions. After debating whether to free him, they decide to remove his chains but keep one shackle to limit his devil fruit powers. Just as Luffy leaves to find medical help, the new giant warrior pirates arrive with Sanji, plummeting from the sky after the Savar malfunctions. Luffy manages to save everyone with his Gomu Gomu no Fusen, though they still crash. Haruden desperately warns them not to free Loki, describing him as untrustworthy and manipulative. The warning comes too late. Loki stands despite his injuries, his weapon Ragnar in hand, leaving everyone in shock as the situation takes an ominous turn. The peaceful day at the Walrus school turns chaotic when a massive serpent suddenly attacks. Teachers spring into action with Kiba and Saul demonstrating their warrior skills by defeating the beast. Robin and Chopper, who arrived with Saul, are shocked by the enormous creature. A more disturbing discovery follows. Children are sleepwalking towards the beach, following mysterious arrows. When Teacher Wolf warns against touching them, Saul ignores the warning, only to be stabbed by invisible thorns surrounding the children. Meanwhile, giant monsters begin appearing in the forest, prompting the giants to sound the alarm horn. Anj makes a chilling connection. Earlier that day, she had assigned students to draw their greatest fears. Now these drawings, including Loki, Nika, Fenrir, and Jormungandr, have somehow manifested into reality. These nightmares now threaten the entire island. Hidden above the tree, Saint Somers and Saint Killingham observe the chaos they've created. The nightmarish creatures are Killingham's work. He's consumed the Rio no Mi, Maro Kirin, allowing him to manifest dreams into reality. Meanwhile, Somers has eaten the Iba no Mi, creating an invisible thorns around the children. The knights callously discuss their game while enjoying a meal, unconcerned that the sleepwalking children are heading straight toward a fire. Their plan is simple: kidnap the children and return them to Marie Joie. Even when they realize the children might burn to death, they decide they can simply find more. In the underworld, despite his injuries, Loki threatens to destroy Elbaph unless his final sea stone shackle is removed. To prove his power, he strikes the tree with his weapon Ragnar, summoning lightning that ignites a fire on the south side of the island. When Luffy attacks, Loki collapses, revealing his weakened state. Jerd begins treating his wounds, estimating months for full recovery. The true nature of Loki's horns is revealed. They're remnants of his ancient giant bloodline, inherited from Harold. A tense moment occurs when Haraldin attempts to kill the weakened Loki, fueled by childhood memories of Loki's cruelty. Before striking, Loki questions whether Haraldin truly believes he killed their father, Harold, intentionally. Meanwhile, Frankie is led by Ripley to an ancient scientific facility covered in vines and trees. Inside, they find Lilith and Bonnie, who revealed the facility is approximately 3,000 years old, predating any historical records kept by the Giants. Their exploration is cut short when they're confronted by one of Killingham's manifestations, a living lightning cloud with a face. Ripley confirms that this is not natural to Elbaph, heightening their concern. The western village comes under attack from a massive skeletal creature. With Dory and Brogy temporarily absent, the warriors struggle against multiple manifestations. The Straw Hats volunteer to help despite being told to find shelter. Nami informs Ja Rule about their early encounter at the castle. Jinbei suggests the monsters are likely created by devil fruit powers, prompting Ja Rule to order an island-wide alert about the intruders. Though instructed to stay safe, the Straw Hats decide to act on their own. They encounter Colin, who agrees to let them use his ship if he can be captain. As the situation grows dire, Saul equips himself with shields to protect against the thorns while attempting to save the children. When he successfully lassos one child, a Fenrir manifestation appears, revealing the monsters are actively preventing rescue attempts. Just when the western village appears overwhelmed, Dory and Brogy return, using their powerful Hakoku sovereignty to destroy multiple monsters. Gaban appears alongside the giant warrior pirates, bringing new hope to the battle for Elbaph as the crisis continues to unfold. And that was it. That was Elbaph Explained Arc. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did not include the chapter from last week because the officials did not come out yet, and I wanted to make sure I got all the things right with that chapter. So this was pretty much all the chapters from Elbaph so far, excluding last week's chapter. So I hope y'all can eat on this video during the One Piece break week. And I'm not sure when the next video is going to come out. I'll have to, think about that. But don't expect something new to come out next week. I want to make the quality for the videos good and everything. So, I'm going to be back in the lab and think of something else to make. And also you can follow my X account or Twitter account, however you want to call it. I put it in the description below, and I've decided to be more active with that part of it. So you'll see me here and there trying to cook people left and right. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, peace out.